All right, welcome back to another episode of Transforming Trauma to Triumph. I'm your host, Diana Min, and I'm joined today by Megan Fenyoe, who is a licensed mental health therapist and also an inspirational speaker. And I'm so excited to have her here. Also, a best-selling author. I mean, your resume goes on and on, so I'll let you introduce yourself. Megan, please, for those in our audience who don't know you and aren't familiar with your work, please let us know who you are and what you do.
Thank you. Thank you, Diana, so much for having me as part of this event. It's such an honor to be able to help support other phenomenal females that are doing great things in the world today. So thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Like you said, I'm a mental health therapist. So I've been a therapist for 15 years. I'm also an Air Force veteran. I'm a domestic violence survivor and wrote a best-selling book 2.5 years ago when I left my ex-husband. And kind of jumped into entrepreneurship, which I'm sure we'll tell my story in a little bit. But so I'm a best-selling author. I have a podcast and a TV show, and I'm also the CEO and founder of the International I Am Enough movement, which is now a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And I'm also the CEO and founder of Freedom Haven, which is a domestic violence shelter for women and children that we are currently building here in San Diego.
Beautiful. That's amazing. Where do you find the time? You are super.
Well, I mean, this is why my hair is not done. I mean, it's kind of done, but it's not. I mean, it is what it is. I'm a very good multitasker. I multitask very, very well, and I'm super, super organized. I have been my entire life, and I think that is what allows me to do what I do. But I'm also very strict with my time. So weekends, I do not work. But Monday through Friday, I am like gung-ho, 15, 16 hours a day. Because I see patients. That's my job. I see patients 40 hours a week,
Yeah.
and then do all of this other stuff outside of it. So, but when you love what you do and you know that what you're doing is helping to make a difference, it all fits somehow. It
Yeah.
just does.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you're making a difference, when you're coming from your heart, it's like you can do it all day. And you're like, what is tired? Sometimes
Exactly.
I completely get it where it's like, but having those boundaries, I love that you say you don't work weekends. I actually started implementing that I don't work Fridays too.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice. I used to.
Yeah.
Yes. Good for you.
Yeah, but Mondays and Thursdays, I mean, I'm up at like 4 or 5 a.m. every day
Yes.
just to like maximize those days. But having boundaries, especially when you're giving up so much of your energy and your time and your focus, to definitely take that time to give it to yourself and nourish yourself too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I love that you don't do Fridays. I used to not do Fridays, but then COVID happened and
Yeah.
I had a lot more patients that need therapy. So
Hmm.
I opened Fridays, but so it's just half a day Fridays.
Yeah.
But yeah, so good for you. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. So I know you weren't always this amazing, empowered,
Yeah.
strong, centered woman, right? And we've all had our journey to be able to find that peace within ourselves. So let us know where did you start to be able to get on this journey of like helping so many people and making such an impact in the world?
Well, I still don't think I have it all together because I'm human and I'm definitely not centered all the time, which is why I have my own therapist. But one
One.
thing I truly value is being authentic and real. So um, there's nothing that I hide because I'm perfectly imperfect, like I like to say. So basically, I kind of just very quickly, I grew up in a very dysfunctional family and some physical abuse and sexual abuse I endured. And also I have a learning disability. So I have an 8th grade reading level and an 8th grade math level. And when I was in high school, my guidance counselor told me I was never going to go to college because I was never going to graduate college. Like I shouldn't even go. And right then and there, it was kind of like my point of saying, I didn't realize that I wasn't good enough. Like that thought hadn't like processed yet, but I just felt like something was different about me.
Yeah.
And I use that as a way to keep me going forward instead of having it take me backwards. Like I wanted to prove to him and to myself, screw you, like I'm going to do this. And that's exactly what I did. I got my undergrad and got my master's. And then at 33, I made this crazy decision only because I was 33. But I decided to join the Air Force when I was 33 years old, and I commissioned as an officer. So I was a captain, and I had been a therapist for 10 years in Michigan prior to that. So when I commissioned as an officer, I ended up just doing mental health treatment to active duty members. But I ended up transferring from Michigan to California. So that's where I was stationed. And I got there at 33, you know, it was just me. I've always been very blessed in my career. Since I was 23, I've worked for the government doing some type of social work. And so I knew I wanted to get married, but when I moved to California to join the Air Force, I was definitely not looking for a husband, but there he was. And one thing led to another, and I found myself married within 11 months of me being in California.
Wow.
And pretty recent after the marriage, things really started changing, and he started changing, and he just started getting really cold and distant. And I found myself like fighting for his attention, like just wanting him to care about me. And I have abandonment issues. And so like my abandonment issues like came huge, like, because I was just like, oh my gosh, love me. Like, here I am, love me. Mm-hmm. So he made me look like I was the crazy one. He made me look like I was the insane one, that I had all the trust issues. He ended up having an affair for 14 months of our 2.5-year marriage. Wow. He kicked me out of our house twice. He filed for divorce 4 times in the 2.5 years and pulled the papers 4 times. So when he kicked me out, I moved, and then he had asked me back, and I moved back in. And then he'd file for divorce, and he'd be like, just kidding. And then he'd pull the papers. Wow. And then when I misbehaved, he'd file for divorce again. And it was just like this roller coaster of 2.5 years. And in the process, I had also left the Air Force. I ended up separating. And ended up working at a hospital as a therapist up in Northern California. And the abuse just got worse. And it was more narcissistic abuse and emotional abuse than physical, although there was a lot of physical abuse as well, on both parts, my part and his part, because and I don't want to say like I don't blame him, but he knew how to push my buttons to just make me go off. I am obviously responsible for my own behaviors, but he just knew. And after the divorce, or after the affair, he finally filed for divorce. But because I was so traumatized, and like I was just like this, I lost every sense of who I was. I literally lost everything about who I was. Like, I was this therapist who was seeing patients, but in between seeing my patients, I'd be on the floor crying because I literally thought that I was not good at all. I was not good enough for him, for anyone. And my life like kind of spiraled out of control. And the divorce happened in 2016, 15, I think. But I was so traumatized, I remained faithful and committed to him for 2 years after that. So lo and behold, I find this job transfer because I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, I'm not happy, so let me move to San Diego. Maybe that'll make me happy. Really, because I wasn't really like wanting to face the fact that like he was the thing that was making me unhappy. So I was like, I'll just move to San Diego and we'll have this long distance relationship. And so, and again, we were dating, we were talking every day, and I moved and all of this stuff. Wow. And he ended up coming down to San Diego in February of 2018, so a little over 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I remember praying. It was the first time I ever said this prayer. And I remember pulling up to the airport, and I remember saying, okay, Lord, if this isn't meant to be, you need to show me, because the affair and the divorce wasn't enough for me to walk away. Wow. If you show me, I will walk away from him and I'll never speak to him again. 24 hours later, he was in my house here in San Diego, and I found out that he had moved in a woman a month before our divorce was final and bought her a brand new car, and she had been living in our house for those 2 years. So right after the divorce, I never went back to our home. He would never let me go back to the house, which was fine for me because it was just too many memories. But he had actually moved in this other woman, and I found out 24 hours after I prayed that prayer. Wow. And a huge domestic broke out, and he left my house, and I have not talked to him since. So that was February 15th of 2018. 2 months before that, I lost my six-figure job as a therapist at a hospital. So I literally, at 38 years old, 2 years ago, was sitting there, had just lost who I thought was the love of my life, cheated on again. This was a totally different girl than the girl he had an affair with. I walked away with absolutely nothing from the divorce. I was not allowed to get an attorney and had just lost my six-figure income. I had absolutely nothing. And I literally felt like I was nothing. Mm-hmm. And that's where everything started. You know, I ended up going back to therapy and really started doing that hard work, and also started writing. And I didn't think that I was going to write a book, but that book, my best-selling book, is literally my saving grace. It was written in the most traumatic 5 months of my life. And the steps that I talk about in my book, because it's called You Are Enough, 5 Steps to Move from Struggle to Strength, are the 5 steps that I actually went through when I was doing my trauma healing work. Mm-hmm. The book came out and I became a best-selling author and then launched the movement. And all of this has happened in the last 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. So it's been an incredible journey. The most rewarding and the most painful journey that I could ever experience. But I'm so glad that I went through it, because I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Yeah. Wow. That is an incredible journey.
It's a really long story.
No, it was an emotional roller coaster. I was in it.
Like up and down, and oh my gosh, when is this going to end?
I'm like, are they going to get back together? Are they staying? What's happening?
Like, get me off this thing.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I'm just like in awe of your strength and your perseverance. And obviously my heart is just with you, because I, as a woman that has had very similar, situations in my life, as far as domestic violence and being extremely depressed and wanting to kill myself and all those things, and realizing and moving to San Diego for that healing, which is so funny that, because
you did the same thing?
I'm from New York originally, yeah. I left my abusive partner in New York to move to San Diego.
Oh my gosh. See, this is why I love doing podcasts, and how I love like not really talking before, because I like to hear your story as well. And this is, I mean, it's amazing. I have like goosebumps right now, because like you literally left New York, Midwest or East Coast. I'm from Michigan, so Midwest, and we ran to San Diego to get away.
Yeah, and it happened in 2016, February 2016. Gosh. I moved to San Diego. Yeah.
So I got here in 2017.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And we're just now meeting. That's so crazy.
I know. And it's like, San Diego has like this like really healing like essence of it. It's like, it's sunny, it's like nurturing, it's peaceful, it's zen, and it's like and it was the perfect place to heal myself, you know. And this like last 4, 5, because I started kind of my healing journey a little bit while I was in New York, while I was still with him and all the stuff that was happening there. But my healing journey, like you said, I love how you said doing the hard work. Like a lot of my friends in New York are like, what are you doing in San Diego? Like, what are you doing over there? And I'm like, I'm healing myself. This is a full-time job. Like,
it is. It's like, it's doing the like, and that's actually like step 1 in my book, but like it's doing the hard, scary work that you don't want to do. And it is a full-time job. Wow. Like that's amazing. Yeah. Congratulations. That is so cool.
You too.
Thank you. We have to have like a survivor celebration party or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to come on your podcast, I think in August. So
yes, that's right. Yay.
Yeah. We can talk more about this for sure. I don't want to make this about me, but the reason that I put this summit together and bringing on people that have really overcome challenges in their lives, and then now using that as a part of their message, as part of their service, a part of their work to give back into the world, to turn around to the person behind them and be like, hey, I don't want you to go through what I went through. Here's what I learned through my journey of healing, right? So that I can make it easier for someone else. Like that is like true service. And like that like sometimes I really feel like entrepreneurship is like some sort of like spiritual experience where you're just like really giving like a part of your soul that you've recovered through your own like seeking of it, and so that's a lot of very similar to the work that I do. But I want to talk more about what you've birthed out of all of that pain and all of that
Yeah.
struggle and all of that, when I mean, you had a best-selling book. Like, who knew that, like, your, like, the worst time in your life would then spark this new venture that's brought you so much success, and now it's like,
It's
tell me more
crazy.
about that.
Oh my gosh, I can't even explain it. And I would not be on this ride if it wasn't for my tribe. I call them my strength tribe. And the people that have believed in the movement, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but the I Am Enough movement. But yeah, when the book came out, like, I'll never forget, talk about being vulnerable, you guys. Like, seriously, if you want to change your life, you literally just have to be vulnerable. I will never tell, I cannot explain to you when I wrote this book. So the first couple chapters is about my story, and then the rest of the book is really about your healing. Like, how do you move from your struggle into your strength? And I give you places to journal and all of this stuff. It's really great. But I'll never forget, right before I pressed enter on that computer on Amazon to let my book go live, because I had hidden behind this mask for so long that I had it all together. Like, social media for me was, I never posted selfies of myself. And because I didn't want people really to know, because I guess people said that, like, you could see it on my face, I guess. I don't know, but whatever. But the minute I pressed enter on Amazon, that is where everything changed. I mean, I shouldn't say that's where everything changed. Things happened before that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was like, oh my gosh, everyone's going to know my story. I mean, a lot of people didn't even know I was divorced.
Yeah.
Like, because that was just not something that I ever expected to happen in my life. And so, but I'm telling you, every single one of you, if you're watching this or listening to this, you have a story. And it doesn't matter what your story is, there's at least one person that needs to hear your story. And I wrote that book, and I said, if I can at least help someone to realize that they are enough, one single person to believe that they are enough, everything that I went through with my ex for the 7 years that we were together would be worth it. And let me tell you, I have met such incredible women and men too, that struggle with not being enough, whether it be because of domestic violence, whether it be because of health reasons, relationships, jobs, like what have you. And so it has been such an amazing blessing. And on a side note, what makes it even better is because my ex-husband, when you Google my name or his name, all my stuff comes up. And so I'm not one that likes to, like, do evil to someone,
Right.
but he still tries to email me mean things, and I just collect them in an email. And, like, I haven't responded to him in 2.5 years, but, like, he literally still thinks he has control over me. And it's just funny because it's not like getting back at him, but it's like, because of you, I'm here.
Yeah.
And as crazy as it sounds, I'm not thankful for what he did to me, but I'm thankful in a way that I went through this experience because I'm so much stronger, and I've been able to help people. And that's what we're here on the earth to do, is to help people.
Yeah.
So the journey's been incredible, and I'm truly blessed for it.
Yeah. I mean, human connection is really, through my own healing and through my work, through understanding that human connection is the reason why we're here. We're not supposed to go through our situations alone and then, like, keep them a secret and hide them, and not, we are supposed to do exactly what you did, exactly what I'm doing, is to be able to share that and find that strength to be vulnerable, because it's scary to be vulnerable. But when you
scary.
do, you're rewarded for it, because then you can open up spaces for other people to be like, wait, I'm able to share my story, I'm not alone in this, and to be able to support each other in that, like, sacred space for healing. Like, I can only imagine, like, the amount of impact that you've had in the lives of people just by you daring to be vulnerable and sharing your story. I remember when I first did my first interview ever, and I talked about my story. I mean, like, I wanted to, like, vomit after. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, people are going to know about all of this stuff that happened. I'm like, I got so much backlash from my family, which was just really terrible. But it's like, I had that same thought. I'm like, if I can impact or help one abused child, one alcoholic, drug addict, domestic violence survivor, whoever it was, with my story. Like when you were saying that, I was almost getting a little emotional because it's like I resonate so much with you. You know, just one person, like it would have all been worth it.
Yep.
You know,
All worth it.
and
Yeah.
it's it's truly
Amazing.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to have met you through this process,
I know.
and I'm excited to come on your podcast and to connect more and to learn more about, you know, all the things that you're doing. So tell me more about, so the organization that you're doing, you said it's like, so let us know what you guys are up to
Yeah.
and how we can support and how we can be a part
Yes.
of
Oh my gosh. There's so many exciting. Actually, we've got something exciting coming up, and I'm so excited. And I guess I can say it online, or right now, but I just don't have a date for it yet.
it. Okay.
But anyway, so let me just start from the beginning. So, a year. Okay. So the book came out 8 months after I walked away from him, and then a year later, part of my healing journey as a therapist, I talk a lot about visual coping skills and the power of us sometimes having to look at something visually to change our thought, right? So you can see, like, I have tattoos. It says I am enough here. It says trust here. This one says everything happens for a reason. And I have quotes everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a visual coping skills
This
fanatic.
one says faith here.
Yes, yes. So part of when I started my own therapy was I had to write why I believed I was enough. And when I started, it was literally, I'm enough because I got out of bed this morning. Because for me, that's where I had to start. I didn't believe I was enough. I knew that I was good enough because I got out of bed, because God woke me up in the morning. That made me good enough, right? But besides that, I didn't believe it. But I had to start from the bottom, right? And as I continued working the steps in the book and my therapy, I was able to create my I am enough statement. And so a year after I walked away from my ex, I created these visual coping cards. They look like this, and they say I am enough. And then on the back, it has the word because with 3 lines, and
Yeah.
you write why you're enough.
Uh-huh.
And I had no idea what I was going to do with them, but I knew I wanted to give back. And so I just started, I put these on my website. People could order 5 of them for free. And then I started handing them out at events and just all the interviews I do. I've been on TV and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's been a year and a half. And so in a year and a half, I have sent over 7,000 of these cards to 22 countries and 48 states, which means people organically have heard about the movement and have gone to the website and ordered their 5 free cards.
Oh.
So you can still get them for free. There are 5 of them.
Yeah.
So, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, the outpouring was amazing. I mean, 22 countries, I never would have expected that. And so I'm like, okay, what else can I do? And then one of my friends said, Megan, have you thought about turning this into a nonprofit? And I was like, I'm a therapist. I'm not a business person. I have no idea what it means to run a business, even though I have like my own private practice and stuff, but that's completely different.
Yeah.
I don't do ClickFunnels, and I don't do all that stuff, right? Like, I don't know what that means. I tried and I can't do it. I was like, well, I guess, like, I want to reach more people, and financially I couldn't do it on my own. So I jumped again into something I had no idea what I was doing. And in September, so what, 6 months ago, the movement became a 501c3 nonprofit. And we are currently, so then in March, I was like, okay, but what are we going to do with this nonprofit? That's great. But like, what is our mission? Like, what do we want to do? So in March, I came up with this idea to build a domestic violence emergency shelter and transitional living home for women and children in San Diego. And it's called Freedom Haven. And my vision is to have Freedom Havens all over the country. Freedom Haven, Michigan, Freedom Haven, New York, like whatever, right? So we are currently we have to raise $1.3 million to break ground. We haven't even broke ground. We don't have a house or anything. This is literally like 3 months in. So the last like 4 months, so we just announced, me and my board, we just announced Freedom Haven in May. So this is like brand new.
Yeah.
And we have our first big fundraiser coming up, which I'm so excited about. It's going to be a virtual run walk And so it's for women, children, men, whoever. You get a kick-ass medal. It's like I can't show it to you, but I
Okay.
can tell you. It's a lotus flower,
Mm-hmm.
and it does say I'm enough in it. And it's got a really cool saying on the bottom. So you get a medal. There'll be an option to buy an I Am Enough t-shirt, an I Am Enough bracelet. All the proceeds go directly to Freedom Haven. So it's actually a tax deductible registration fee. And people are like, well, what's a virtual run? Well, the cool thing is you can literally run or walk if you want, however long you want. And you can do it with friends in New York. Like I did a virtual run with one of my girlfriends in Michigan. She's like, hey, let's do this. And I was like, okay. So I was here and she was in Michigan and we just ran at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just like, oh, you guys are doing something together, right? Like, although it's 3 hours difference, right?
Yeah.
So it's just getting people together, supporting each other. We're going to have like a training support group, pre-race. It's not like a race. I mean, I guess it is, but you get a bib and you get all the race stuff.
Yeah.
So you for sure get a medal. If you register or not, that's a for sure thing. T-shirts will be extra, but so we're still waiting on a few details, but it should be happening in September. It'll be for a whole week, so you have a whole week to walk and run however much you want. And it's just a great way, especially with stuff going on with COVID right now, to like get friends together, even if you social distance and walk, or you do it together with your friends in a different state, even get on FaceTime and walk a mile with them together or Zoom or whatever. So it's great. And it's a great way to support a great cause. So like I said, everything is tax deductible and yeah, it's going to be a great time. So I'm super excited for that.
That's cool. Wait, so it's gonna be like, so are we able to also just donate more money to Freedom Haven?
Oh yes, like you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to just donate, so you can go. So there's 2 websites.
Yeah.
You can order the cards at IamEnoughMovement.info.
Yeah.
If you go to that website, there's a tab for Freedom Haven. So that will take you to the Freedom Haven website, or vice versa. You can go to thefreedomhaven.com and there'll be a tab for I'm Enough. So it's a little confusing, but
it's all part of your community.
Yes. But yeah, you can definitely go on there. We're always looking for donations. We're not taking obviously like clothes and that kind of stuff yet, just because we don't have a house yet, but definitely monetary donations. Yeah, you can learn more about Freedom Haven. There's an awesome video that was shot to talk more about it. And then the virtual run will be up on those pages. Like we'll probably announce it in August.
Okay.
And again, it's a great way to get involved as well. So
that's so beautiful. And I'm already thinking like, I want to, whenever you have Freedom Haven up and running, like I want to volunteer and I want to be there to help like
oh my gosh, of course.
Yeah, to just volunteer my time, my services, my energy, my heart, whatever it is that you need to like really help you get this going, because it's so important. I think it's the community needs it, you know what I mean? And it's just, you're doing such a service and I'm just so excited for you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I know I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're a busy woman, but
we're all busy.
I know you have a little freebie that you're giving to our audience, right? So let us know a little bit more about that.
Well, definitely it's the cards. So that's always my freebie is because they're free.
Yeah.
And so you can go to the website, IamEnoughMovement.info, and also a 20-minute consultation call. It's not to like, I just want to be here for people. I want to like support people. And so some people will call me just to kind of talk something out, or maybe they might ask about, services or whatever that I offer, but whatever. It's a 20-minute call to talk and no strings attached. I know sometimes it's a little different with entrepreneurs, but I promise you there's no strings attached with this. It's just a way for me to give back. I know 20 minutes is never long enough. But it's just know that I'm available. And so you can go and book that call right on my website, which is meganfenyoe.com. And there's actually a ton of free resources on my website because I am a therapist. Yeah. So lots of resources that I have created are on there. So please Lots of trainings, webinars. Please jump on there and take advantage of all of their free stuff on there. I give a lot of stuff away because it's
Yeah, yeah, I can tell. I can tell you're a
like
giver.
just go there and take it. Take it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if anybody that is listening to this that is just needing any types of tools, practices, things like that, I'm sure Megan has tons of those on her website for you because
Yeah.
she has a heart of gold and is
Okay.
just out here spreading the love. So the link to Megan's website will also be in the email that you received this interview in. So yes, thank you so much, Megan, for your time, your energy, your
Thank
heart,
you.
and all that you're doing in the world. And I'm excited to continue this conversation on Megan's podcast, which is the
Yes.
name of your podcast, one more time.
It's called the Blonde Bombshell podcast, which it has nothing to do, like it goes nothing coordinating with this, but the podcast was born before the I'm Enough movement. So it's
Okay.
called the Blonde Bombshell podcast. So
It sounds
it's a great,
spicy and I'm excited about
yeah,
it.
it's a good one. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, you guys,
You're
for
welcome.
tuning in. And we will be back with you with another interview tomorrow in your inbox. Thank you for watching Transforming Trauma to Triumph. I'm your host, Diana Min. And this was Megan Fenyoe. Be sure to get connected with her. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye.